And welcome to another live discussion about the Argentina national team. My name is Roy Nemmer of Mundo Albiceleste.com. I am joined by Osvaldo from Mundo Albiceleste.com. Osvaldo, how's it going?
Hey Roy, how are you doing? It was a tough loss today. I think overall Uruguay played better. We're gonna talk about the different performances from Argentina's players, Messi, etc. Scaloni said it just a couple of minutes ago in the press conference. Yeah, they played better. And I was also listening to the poll, a little bit of Messi after the game, and they all yeah, it's like a feeling that we felt maybe after the game against Saudi Arabia after the loss. Of course, it's difficult to compare them because one was in the World Cup against Saudi Arabia, and now it's against Uruguay, which is a top team. But it's also fair to say that it's just the only two losses from Argentina in a long time, so that's why we can compare them. And I think the way that the players and the coach declared after the game has to do with, yeah, it's just a loss. We've won a lot of matches. Of course this could happen. They play better. We didn't have the best night, but this continues, and it's good to remember that Argentina is still first in the qualifiers. I think their main goal is to finish as first in these qualifiers, and up to now they've been doing it great. I don't know why, but I can't hear you, Roy.
My apologies. Technical problems. There you are. Thank you,
There you
Osvaldo.
go.
Thanks. No, I was saying, as you said, despite the loss, Argentina's still number one in the qualifiers, and we're going to get to all of that. And as always, everyone in the chat, let us know where you're from. We always get a mixture all around the world, from North America to Africa to Asia to Europe to South America to everywhere. Let us know, everybody, where you're watching from, whether you're live or on replay in the comments. We're gonna get to a lot of comments here. We already have some in the comment section in regards to the team, the lack of goals, the back line really kind of carrying the team. There is a comment in regarding Brazil losing too, and we were kind of talking about that off air. But the big news is you mentioned Argentina doesn't lose often. This is the first time Argentina loses since that match versus Saudi Arabia just under a year ago, at the World Cup. And you mentioned it off air, Osvaldo. It's Argentina's first World Cup qualifying loss since 2018, since the 2018 World Cup qualifiers. So, that's very impressive. That is very, very impressive. So
Yeah, yeah, and if we had to lose, uh, I guess that we lost against a very good team.
yeah,
Individually, we were talking a little bit about this before the match in the live discussion we did yesterday of how they have great players, and they show it today.
yeah,
Valverde, Ugarte, um, Darwin Nunez, but also collectively, I think that we've seen a good team by Bielsa. Messi mentioned that in the post game. Talking with the press,
yeah.
how you see the hand of Bielsa in this team in just a couple of games, because Bielsa has arrived recently to Uruguay,
Mhm.
but you see the way they play, and we lost against a great team. Probably, in my opinion, the biggest rival today in the South American qualifiers for Argentina, because Brazil is not in a good form.
No, and I'll agree with that one as well. And to echo your sentiments, Caspian mentioned the same thing in terms of Bielsa. The worst what you would expect when playing against a Bielsa team happened. They did disrupt Argentina's rhythm, and Messi kind of mentioned that after the game too. Uh, Caspian mentions Otamendi's age, and we're gonna get to that in a little bit. We're gonna get to that in a little bit. But first, as always, let us know where you're from. Anurag, all the way from India. Gamer Snata, all the way from India. Thank you guys for joining us. And yeah, so we'll talk about the game. We spoke about this yesterday. I think, well, we both kind of predicted an Argentina win. I thought we would either get a lot of goals, or it would be very, very tight. But I said it would be entertaining, and I think it's fair to say, it really was entertaining.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it was, and he also had some other condiments in the beginning of the match with that argument between the players, the Paul, Messi, Ugarte, Oliveira. So for sure, it was interesting, and it was a nice match overall. Of course, it's never good to lose, and you always finish with that a little bit of sadness after losing. But it was a great match overall.
Yeah, look, a very, very good effort by Uruguay. It's not easy to play Argentina, not easy to play Argentina as world champions and away from home in the World Cup
Away, yeah.
qualifiers. Very, very difficult. And, we saw the team that Scaloni put out, and it's usually, it looks about the same team that we always see, right? The starting lineup, the 11, Messi, Julian, and Nicolas Gonzalez. Sometimes it's Lautaro, sometimes it's Di Maria. Everybody in the chat, let us know. And Osvaldo, I'm throwing it to you as well. What did you think of, first off, we'll begin with the team and then the substitutions.
Yeah, the team, as you said, is something a team that we usually see with one or two substitutions just in players, but it's always that 4-3-3. That after the World Cup, maybe the only change really is where McAllister and Enzo Fernandez play. That I want to talk about it actually later, because I particularly think that our best form was with Enzo playing as the defensive midfielder in the center and McAllister a little bit more on top. But it makes sense because now in Liverpool and Chelsea they're playing those positions. But I was most worried about the substitutions. Yeah, in the halftime, McAllister came out and Lautaro Martinez came in, and I think it was too soon to put four strikers because Messi, Nicolas Gonzalez, Lautaro Martinez, and Julian Alvarez were playing on top. And I think that the biggest difference between Argentina and Uruguay in the first half was how good they were pressing that midfield. And I think that the solution was not necessarily taking out another midfielder. On the contrary, maybe you should have added one more because they were pressing really well. And you saw a lot during the second half how Argentina was two teams completely separate the defensive line with the attacking line. So I don't know how you saw it, that Roy, but I was concerned with the substitution early on in the second half.
Yeah, I was and I wasn't to a certain degree. And guys, let us know also in the chat. But in terms of the substitution, I understood what he was trying to do by bringing on Lautaro. I thought, Julian might get the same role he gets at Manchester City, which is kind of playing behind, let's say, Lautaro. But ultimately, what we got was Julian Alvarez kind of playing a little bit towards the left side almost. And I didn't particularly think he had a good game. I would have maybe preferred to have brought in a midfielder, maybe go for a modified 4-4-2 of sorts. I was happy with Palacios coming in. I thought he did very well, and he's in great form. You mentioned it yesterday. And to be honest, probably the midfielder in the best form right now for Argentina is probably Ezequiel Palacios, better than Enzo, McAllister, and De Paul. So I was happy with him. But yeah, I think the substitution was maybe a little bit too early. But I think Scaloni tried to go for it and maybe hoped to get a goal early on.
Yes.
But it
In
didn't.
the press conference, Scaloni said that he tried to put another striker because he saw Oliveira, the center back from Uruguay, coming too much out to look for Messi when he received the ball. So he thought that putting another striker, maybe Oliveira would stay more and Messi will have more freedom there in attack. Seeing the results that didn't function well, and you had two different Argentinas, one in defense and one in attack. And it was pretty rough for the defenders and the midfielders when Uruguay attacked.
Yeah, and you mentioned Oliveira, and I mean Bielsa brought Jimenez in at halftime, so he really bulked up the back line for Uruguay. Looking at the comments really quick. So all right, there you go. So John Jonardon, excuse me, from Hamilton, Canada, welcome. He says Argentina should have crowded the midfield and the back line and relied on the counter attack. Scaloni lost to the technician that is Bielsa. I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say Bielsa won the tactical kind of battle today. And reading some of the other stuff as well. What do you think of something like this? So this game, as weird as it may sound, may have required a Guido Rodriguez presence to get the physical battles. hindsight is 2020 in this case. Do you think having a pure defensive midfielder would have helped maybe in terms of the transition between the attack and back line or bringing some balance?
I mean, it might have helped, and even more when McAllister saw the yellow card. Maybe
Yeah.
I was expecting maybe a substitution in that position, but yeah, maybe Guido Rodriguez would come in or Paredes, but I didn't expect another striker. So I would say that I could have agreed. Nonetheless, I think that the solution was not only one substitution or one or two players, because Ezequiel Palacios entered well and he couldn't do much. Because collectively Uruguay was pressing high very well. Whenever even Argentina, I don't consider that they play bad from the back. I think they had some good passes, but when they did 2, 3, 4 passes in a row, still the Uruguay players were marking player to player, 1-to-1 to the Argentina's players, and it was very very difficult. I think that collectively, and I read this in one of the comments in the Mundo Albiceleste website, that it was very active during the game and after the game, and this one was from Sula. I don't know if I pronounce it well, but he was saying how Bielsa, was better than Scaloni and did almost uh, the the Scaloni tactics of pressing really high man to man. Well, Bielsa did that and was better than Scaloni with his own medicine.
Yeah, and that is true. That is it's a good comment. I agree with that. Calvin mentions it. It was a Bielsa masterclass, set aside up for perfection. Deserved to win, of course. I don't think anyone could argue that. I don't think anyone could say Argentina was robbed or anything of the sort. It really was, and it showed. And we'll maybe discuss this a little bit more later on. But maybe it showed Uruguay just kind of wanted it more. They were just hungrier. They were set out in a different way, right? It was never going to be easy. Calvin mentions about how McAllister struggled today, and Calvin, same thing as you, Osvaldo. Prefers Enzo plays a little deeper and McAllister a little bit more forward. Seems to have a better connection with Messi. And then we get some comments as well about Uruguay's midfield, and it was difficult. It was difficult. It was a battle. We knew it would be. We spoke about it. It's always going to be difficult. It always is against Uruguay. But at the end of the day, deserved winners for them.
Yeah. And their players that we talked about are really good. They also have really good performances. Valverde played really well. De La Cruz played really well. Pelistri, Nunez. Yeah, he missed the first shot. That was a really clear chance, but then he got it in the second goal from Uruguay. So it was a brilliant match from Uruguay. That before this they beat Brazil 2-0. Now they beat us, the World Cup champions, 2-0. So and now they play Bolivia in Uruguay. So a good run from Uruguay. Yeah.
Yeah, and at 0-0 very early in the match, Argentina had the free kick, the one that Otamendi almost scored. Messi took it, Otamendi was almost scored. If that one goes in, maybe it changes the entire setup, but it didn't. And as you said, Uruguay deserved winners. Now, something we kind of spoke about or mentioned off air, and I want everybody, please give us your opinion of this. Absolutely, the lack of goals that Argentina's scoring, because, and I'm not particularly just talking about Lautaro Martinez or Alvarez, but just in general. I mean, outside of 3 goals versus Bolivia, it was 1-0 versus Ecuador, Messi's free kick. Then you had Otamendi scoring 1-0 versus Paraguay. There's not many goals being scored, and then you get the 2 versus Peru. Are you worried about that, Osvaldo? What do you think? Or is it just a matter of once one of them scores, we'll be good to go?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Argentina has been winning a lot. And I don't think that we can really talk about a huge lack of goals and something that we should worry. I think that there's some players in attack that they are not scoring goals. Nico Gonzalez, Lautaro Martinez didn't play. Well, yeah, he played a whole half, but I don't think that he really had many chances. But yeah, I personally always like Scaloni's idea of putting in Nicolás Gonzalez from the beginning. I think he could always give you a lot in defense and also in attack, because with Fiorentina he got tired of scoring goals and he's playing really well. But yeah, he's just not playing well with Argentina, and he's not being able to score.
Yeah, he's he gets into goal scoring opportunities, but as mentioned, he does often miss his chances. The thing is now with Lucas Ocampos out versus Uruguay, we don't know if he's going to be fit versus Brazil. You would think Di Maria starts versus Brazil, and we're going to talk about that, but
Yeah.
it's going to get to the point of who's going to be there. And sorry,
I
go ahead.
know, I know it's going too much ahead, and we're probably gonna do a preview of the match
Yeah,
against Brazil. But I imagine Nico Gonzalez starting against Brazil, and I'll tell you why. I watched a little bit of just the goals from today from Colombia against Brazil. It was two headers from Luis Diaz, a player that plays in Nico Gonzalez's position, and Nico Gonzalez has a
he's
good
good in the
header,
air.
and
Yeah.
very good in the air. And both goals came in a very similar way. So I think that Scaloni will take note of that, and I think Nico Gonzalez will start. Of course, we will have to wait. And today he didn't play well at all, I would say. Um,
Yeah, putting it that way, I didn't think of it that way, and we might end up doing a preview for the match against Brazil. I thought Nicolas Gonzalez had I mean, it's not much, but a good maybe opening 5 minutes. At one point, he got the ball very early on, and he actually got the better of Ronald Araujo. But yeah, after that, it was just kind of like he didn't particularly play very well. I don't think the attack in general played well. I don't think it's something to worry. I'm reading the comments. For Hippie J says, I'll bring this up. Says, I think Angel Correa needs to be called up. He's been good when he plays for the national team. So, you could talk about Correa not being there, Ocampos maybe injured, Garnacho's not called up. The big name everybody's talking about is Matias Sule, who has been named the Serie A October Player of the Month, and he's not part of this team as well. So, I think it's just a matter of we'll get the goals. The goals are coming, but it's almost as if it's a struggle to get them sometimes,
yeah.
which is making it difficult.
Yeah. But of course, today we lost. We didn't play well. We didn't generate many chances. But overall, Argentina has generated a lot of chances. Some individual players haven't been able to score. But I don't. I mean, we have great players as
Of
Julian, Lautaro,
course,
Nico
of
Gonzalez, Di
course.
Maria. Of course, we have good players that were not called up, like
I mean,
Solé, Garnacho. But the truth
Angel
is,
Correa.
it has to do more, at least today, with the collective way the team played, because they were not able to generate many chances. Even though if you put any player in attack, today it was very difficult because Uruguay pressed very well,
Yeah.
and we never really got good chances.
Yeah. No, I agree. You could have put anybody up front, and I don't think they would have scored or even really had a shot on target, so to speak. We're talking about the lack of goals, but at least defensively, I mean, today aside, defensively, the team's been very, very solid. Whether it's Emiliano Martinez making the big saves, or Otamendi playing a great game, or Christian Romero, or Tagliafico, or today Molina didn't play very, very well. In general, they always step up. Today, I think it was just one of those games where, look, it didn't happen, right? It didn't work.
Yeah. Defensively, yeah. Maybe then we can go like player by player. But I think Molina didn't play well, not only defensively but also in attack. He didn't really had many chances to go and follow the attack. But also in that first goal, he defended well the position at first,
He did.
and then instead of just clearing the ball, he tried to keep it, and there's where he lost it, and it was uh, probably most of it was his fault, the goal. Then Otamendi, he was a little bit slow. I consider maybe against some runs from Darwin Nunez. Darwin Nunez is a great striker from Liverpool, and today he played well. And he's very powerful, and it's not easy to mark him. But I think that in those two center backs, Romero and Otamendi, I think Romero play a little bit better than Otamendi today.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I think Otamendi was no fault of his own. I don't think he was like really out of position or anything like that. I think, as you mentioned, it was an issue of speed, his pace. and he got caught several times. That first chance by Nunez in the first half is where his effort went just wide. He outran Otamendi, and it wasn't even close. So at that point, yes, it could become maybe an issue down the line. I'm not saying it's an issue now, but maybe that's something that we got to maybe keep an eye on, or see what gives, because he's great and I love Otamendi and I always defend him to a certain extent. The speed, the pace could catch up to him.
Yeah.
And Rahan says Lisandro would have pocketed Nunez. I mean, we'll never know. Nunez, I rate Nunez. I think he's very good, but we'll never know. And some names here. It's not like Argentina don't have the center backs. We mentioned Lisandro Martinez, Marco Senesi, Facundo Medina, Juan Perez. You could even say Leo Valerdi of Marseille. So Argentina do have depth. You have Pasella, Martinez Cuarta. It's just a matter of who's gonna start if it's not Otamendi.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to be repetitive, but
No,
it was just one day. We were
of course.
talking even yesterday about how Otamendi was giving a lot to this national team, even though we thought that after the World Cup maybe Lisandro Martinez could came in. He got injured, Martinez, so Otamendi is playing, and he has been playing well. Today we lost against a great team, and that's important to mention because it has been always been against Uruguay tough matches there and home and away. And today was not the exception. And of course, we expect good things from our national team that it's one in the rankings that have just won the World Cup. But we lost against a good team. It's not like when we lost against Saudi Arabia. Today we really lost against a good team.
Yeah. No, we did. And as you mentioned, and I'm happy as well that whether it's here in the chat or on the Mundo Albiceleste website or social media on Twitter, no one is overreacting, right? No one's saying, oh my God, we have to change the entire team and we have to do this and we have to do that. It's a matter of, hey, it's one game, team lost, every team loses. Messi said it, and the next game against Brazil it's another game, and this is perfect right here from AJ. AJ says Uruguay played a perfect game. That's it. It's essentially that simple. Now, with all of this, and we spoke about this yesterday, right? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing that Argentina is playing on paper the two most difficult teams in South America, Uruguay, Brazil? Even though Brazil is, I think, 5th right now in those South American qualifiers in the standings.
Brazil is yes. Go ahead.
Crazy.
Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say which is actually just crazy.
No, I know, but Brazil is Brazil.
Of course.
We play there, and yeah, I was saying a little bit about it yesterday. I don't think it's good to play against the two best teams in South America after Argentina in a row. It's like having two tests from school in just one day. You need at least to prepare mentally for the second one, and if it can be in another month, better. So yeah, I don't think that's good. But well, the truth is that Brazil comes from also a tough loss in Barranquilla. Vinicius got injured today. We'll see how bad the injury was, but he had to leave early in the first half. So yeah, for sure it's gonna be a Brazil that the fans at least they'll be wanting a win. Of course, they always want to win against Argentina, but now more than ever. I don't think I read a little bit in the chat how maybe both teams, Argentina and Brazil, wouldn't be bad a tie, but I think that for Brazil media and fans and even the players, they need the win. They come from 2 consecutive losses.
Yeah. They absolutely need the win, and it's 2 big losses. I mean, they lost to Uruguay, which is a big rival. They lost to Colombia,
and before a draw against Venezuela.
And a draw versus Venezuela, and they barely won versus I think it was Peru or Peru, if I'm not mistaken, in like the 93rd minute or something. And yeah, I mean, BC, the goals Colombia scored were not impressive. Diaz scored 2 goals, bad marking. I did not know this statistics for example, but Colombia with 23 shots on goal against Brazil. Even if the match is in Barranquilla, that's still impressive. That is still very, very impressive. BC says Brazil's below Venezuela. Just taking a look. at the table here quickly. So Argentina still number one despite the loss. Uruguay to number two, Colombia 3, Venezuela 4, Brazil 5, Ecuador 6, Paraguay 7, Chile 8, Bolivia 9, and Peru 10, which is, I mean, that's surprising for them. But a big match coming up for Argentina on Tuesday, and the other matches on Tuesday as well. Paraguay hosts Colombia, Uruguay hosts Bolivia, Ecuador, Chile. That's going to be a very interesting one. Obviously, the big one, Argentina, Brazil, and Peru, Venezuela, the other one there. And taking a look at Ismail saying Roy Gonzalez needs to offer more in attack. He does. He's I'm a big Nicolas Gonzalez fan, but today was not his night. It's not his night. Calvin says it's going to be really tough. Sometimes really hard to play against a wounded animal, especially at home when fans will demand a response. So similar to what kind of you mentioned, Osvaldo, Brazil not doing well and playing at home, the pressure will be on them big time.
For sure. Yeah. They don't have Neymar. They probably won't have Vinicius. We'll see how injured he really is. But they still have great players. I'm just saying the roster.
Of course.
Yeah, they have great players. They haven't been able to really find a good form or good collective play in these qualifiers, but just with their individualities, you know that they can be very dangerous.
Yeah, and they have speed, they have strength, they have a very good goalkeeper. I know Ederson's injured, and Alisson. I personally rank Alisson higher than Ederson, but Alisson's very good, and it's the wounded animal, and they're playing at home, and it is still Brazil at the end of the day, right? It's still Brazil.
For
now,
sure.
In regards to that, and we might end up doing a preview of it, and I'm asking everybody as well, Osvaldo, would you make any changes to the starting 11 versus Brazil? Would you approach that game maybe a little bit differently? Would you go with the same attack, the same midfield? How would you kind of approach this one?
It's a good question. I'm sure this one that Scaloni will ask himself in these couple of days. I'll repeat myself in the way that we just lost one game out of the last 30 some, well, counting the Saudi Arabia one, we just lost two in the last
50 games, I think.
50 games. Yeah. And we've been playing most of the times with the same players, the same formation. I don't really think that there's something to change that much. Yeah, maybe one player or another. I think that Nico Gonzalez didn't play well these couple of matches. He started the last five, the 5 match days from Argentina. He started the 5 of those, and he didn't play as well as he plays in Fiorentina. Nonetheless, and I will say today, I think he should start against Brazil. He can generate damage there with his aerial potential and how good he is in the air. Then it will be a matter of if maybe Lautaro Martinez starts instead of Julian Alvarez, but then I wouldn't change that much. Maybe, something that is my opinion is Enzo Fernandez playing the position of McAllister, so they switch. But I don't know if you have any preference of, you saw Palacios today. I don't know if you think of Acuna instead of Tagliafico.
Yeah, it's the questions, as you mentioned, that Scaloni is going to be asking himself even. I think we do change in attack, maybe go for Lautaro over Julian. On the left side, and I'm saying this as a Nicolas Gonzalez fan, I feel like maybe Di Maria, I don't know. I don't know, because I think Di Maria is a better substitute than Nicolas Gonzalez. I don't think Nicolas Gonzalez offers you much coming off the bench in terms of, attack. So I think you kind of have to go with Nicolas Gonzalez to start, even though Di Maria against Brazil he's good. He's very good. In midfield, I thought Palacios, did pretty well when he came on. I don't know if I would start him. Maybe start Paredes. Definitely start De Paul. It's the 3 in midfield, right? It's going to be De Paul, Enzo, Alexis, but maybe you could bring in Paredes for one of them. But if we do get the same midfield that we got today, I'm going to agree with you. I think I would put Enzo more as the defensive midfielder and Alexis as the more attacking one. And we haven't even mentioned Giovanni Lo Celso, who came on as a substitute too, another option off the bench. No Thiago Almada this time, but We have Lo Celso off the bench, but I think Lo Celso's more of a substitute these days. So I'm going to go with the same midfield as today, but I'll agree with you in terms of I think Enzo has to be a little deeper. And I don't know if you go with Acuna over Tagliafico. I don't think Tagliafico has put a foot wrong. He saved the goal today. He really saved the goal today with a very good clearance. I just don't know how tired he is. And against a very motivated Brazil side, it could be an issue. Who knows? I don't know.
I agree. I would also add that I would like to see a little bit at least from Dybala that he
Yeah,
didn't do
it's
today.
true. Right. Yeah.
I understand that maybe Dybala is the natural replacement of Messi in that right side of the field in attack. So, and I don't see Messi coming out at all in this type of matches. But it will be nice to see them both playing. I don't know exactly where in which position of the field, but I think they both can play together. And Paulo Dybala is a great player.
Yeah, it's true. We haven't mentioned Dybala much, actually, or at all. He's a very good, weapon off the bench, a very good threat off the bench. It's just a matter of kind of where would you fit him, right? Would you take off Lautaro and put Dybala? Then what do you do with Julian? So we have some options, and apparently Di Diego Caferata is also thinking the same thing, all the way from Australia, from Sydney, Australia. Welcome, thank you for joining us. Who says, I see a draw against Brazil and would love to see Dybala. I would too, but I don't think Scaloni is going to go with too many changes against Brazil. I would be very, very surprised if we get Dybala in the starting
and
11.
and it's also I think a message to the players if he decides to change a lot the team, because he wouldn't give a good message to the players. Just if after one loss I switch half of the team, it will take out confidence, maybe some respect. I don't think he will do it. He's always even before we lost, he always mentioned how well this can happen. We can lose sometime, and we just have to continue the way we're doing it because we're doing it great. And I agree with that. I think Argentina is playing well overall. In this first 4 match days, they play really well. Today, Uruguay played better, and Argentina didn't really find the ways. But I don't think Scaloni has to do many changes.
No. And there was a comment just now I brought up. The person said, I think today's formation will be good against Brazil. I would agree with that. And let's not forget, Uruguay, especially under Bielsa, play a very different kind of style, a very different kind of formation than probably any other team in South America, right? And that's why they're probably the second best team in South America right now, behind Argentina, even though they won tonight. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna change much, and I think, like you said, it would maybe send the wrong message to the entire team if we got many changes. I think we might get maybe Lautaro starting in place of Julian Alvarez, and then who knows on the left between Di Maria and Nicolas Gonzalez. But I think in general, it's going to be about the same. I don't think we're going to get too many changes. Ismail says, we need 4 midfielders against Brazil like we did against Croatia. Maybe that could also potentially work. But I feel like Brazil is going to go a lot for the counter, and having 4 midfielders there could certainly help. But I don't know. There's different ways of approaching that game.
Yeah, that's true because they're gonna play at home. They need the win. I don't know if they're gonna play with the counter-attacking. Today, for example, I'm seeing the formation right now. They play with. I mean, it's like 4-4-2, but it's actually more like a 4-2-4. They play with Martinelli, Rafinha, Rodrigo, and Vinicius in attack. They're all attackers. Then they switch a couple of the players. And Vinicius got injured. So based on the result and based on this injury, I don't know if Brazil will change that much. But I think that Brazil in these last couple of years, they've always had a lot of strikers, and sometimes the mistake they have done is to try to put all of them together, and maybe then in defense they were not that good. But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Brazil. I mean, they certainly have the wingers, and they're very fast. They have a young attack, and that's what makes them dangerous. That's what sets them apart from maybe other teams. Is not only are they skillful, but they're also very fast. So for us, we have to maybe be careful, and we might have to hit them on the counter, which we can play and we have done under Scaloni. The best example is the World Cup final, the goal by Di Maria, probably the best team goal or one of the best goals in World Cup finals history was the counterattack. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Calvin says, I know this is not the case, but sometimes you can get a little relaxed when you are winning. Hopefully, this loss brings in a positive reaction. I wouldn't change much in the 11. And that's kind of something we were talking about off air. I said this might be a loss that the team needs, right? Maybe not at the best time, especially playing at home, but it could be something down the line of, hey, we're not invincible, and I think this team knows it, and it's a matter of let's maybe refocus. Let's maybe refocus.
For sure, yeah. And I would say that after the World Cup, this was the biggest challenge we really faced because we play Ecuador at home, then we play against Bolivia. It's true, we play against Bolivia away, which is never easy. But Bolivia is not playing that well. Of course, they're not one of the great teams in South America. Then we play Paraguay at home, and then we play Peru away. I'm telling you, 1, 2. They're from the last 5 of the South American qualifier in the standings right now. Well, we play 4 of them.
Wow.
So I would say that this was the biggest challenge, and now we have another big challenge.
Yeah, another big one. And guys, let's not forget either. The next match against Brazil is the last World Cup qualifying match until September of next year, pretty much, right? Because we have the 2 friendly matches in February or in March against European opposition. That one is in Europe. And then we have the Copa America. And then, like you said, after that, Argentina hosts Chile next September. So it's a long way to go for the next World Cup qualifiers. And, maybe having these 2 matches now, not necessarily getting them over with, but, if they get a win versus Brazil, ultimately it looks like a very, very good kind of round, despite the loss versus Uruguay. So,
yeah, and I think that the main goal for Argentina in these qualifiers are 2, and I think that Scaloni have those in mind. That is, first, getting into a good shape or in a good form collectively for the Copa America and for the World Cup, but also trying to finish first in the standings. And right now we're first, and we won 4 games and we just lost 1. So I think that it's good to say now, after we just lost, that we're in a good form. We're playing well overall, and it's been a good year after the World Cup.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And there was a comment I read on Twitter during the match that said, or on X during the match, that said, Uruguay is Argentina's most difficult opponent in the last like 2 or 3 years, including the final versus France. Because let's not forget, Argentina really dominated that game for 80 minutes. Today was very different, and it's true. Kind of playing these games, seeing where the team is at. It could be a good wake-up call. Playing against Brazil, then you play against European opposition at the start of next year in February. And if rumors are to be believed, rumors and reports, well, it's going to be one of the top European countries. It's going to be maybe a Germany or the Netherlands again, potentially Portugal, and I think there was another team I can't quite remember, Spain, I think. So it's going to be a good test.
No, for sure. I think that now it's the moment to really have those tests, because after the World Cup, it was understandable to just have some not so good rivals in friendly matches. And it was also good that in the first matches of the qualifiers, we didn't have really good rivals, because it wouldn't be like fair that after the World Cup, we have to again be right away playing against great teams. So I think it comes at a good moment, this good test against Uruguay, Brazil, maybe some European teams before the Copa America.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a good. It's going to be a good test. It will absolutely be a good test. Just reading some of the comments now. Yeah, I mean, John, that's fair to say. We cannot always play with old players. At the end of the day, it is just one game. But the good news for Argentina is we have the younger players, right? They are there, and some are even part of the team. Calvin says, in regards to the match against Brazil, let's hope for the same outcome like in the Copa America final. man, I would love that. That was special. That was very, very different. Very different. Masters asking. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I
Osvaldo.
was gonna read the comment that when is the Copa America draw,
There
and
you
it's
go.
gonna be December 7.
7
I think it's a Thursday, and
Thursday.
it's gonna be in Miami. I will try to be there.
Of
So
course.
yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna try and make sure Osvaldo gets to go to the Copa America draw. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be very fun. I don't know how it's set up. I don't know if Brazil, Argentina in the same group, Argentina, Uruguay. It's gonna be cool. It's
I
gonna
don't
be
know
well.
either. I know that from South America, 10 teams qualified, the 10 teams, and then
Yeah,
from the Concacaf, it's gonna be 6 out of 8 teams.
yeah.
That I think it's United States, Mexico, Canada, Panama, Costa
Costa
Rica,
Rica.
Jamaica, and I'm Trinidad and Tobago, and I
Okay.
think I'm forgetting one more. But yeah, it's gonna be out of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a good draw. It's gonna be a good Copa America. It'll be a good Copa America. Though saying Argentina versus England, that match will not happen. England already has 2 matches set up for February, and actually one of them is against Brazil. So that'll be a fun one to watch. But yeah, any final thoughts? Anything before we close things out here, Osvaldo?
I don't want to repeat myself, so I'm gonna say something different from what I just said before. But yeah, now let's expect to win against Brazil. Maybe before this game, we would say that it was the best moment to play against Brazil because they were playing bad and we were playing well in a good form. And now it changed a little bit because we just lost against Uruguay. I still think that we play Brazil in the best moment for us and in their worst moment. Um, so it's gonna be a good test for us and to show ourselves that after a loss like this we can win against a big team. I think that was kind of what happened against Saudi Arabia. I think the fans and the players after that loss, more than sadness, it was something about oh, we want to play again right now to show them that we're
Yeah.
still informed that we are still candidates at that time. So I think it's good. It's good that this match comes on Tuesday, and we'll hope for the best.
Yeah. I like that. I didn't really have time to kind of think about that. But yeah, usually when you lose, like you said, you're ready to play right away to show that no, you are going to win. And I'll agree with you too. I think even though we lost tonight, I think Argentina is still at the very, very top form, so to speak, and Brazil is not doing well. And they lost too, right? And we spoke about this. I don't know if anyone here has the answer, but when was the last time Argentina and Brazil lost a World Cup qualifier on the same day? I don't know. I can't
That's
remember
that's a really good question.
because we don't lose often, and to be honest, neither do they in the qualifiers, except for this year. But I can't remember the last time that happened. So they're not doing well. We are, despite the loss today. I think we're still playing very, very well. Master Zar says 2015.
Is he guessing or is he
I
or
don't
he
know.
knows something?
I don't
That's my
know.
question.
We gotta wait. We'll give him a couple of moments. But then Calvin says, yeah, Calvin says you don't want to dwell on the losses. You want to play right away, right away. And BC says Brazil lost 6 games in 2002. Argentina only lost once. And Rajit says it last happened in 2015, and it has only happened twice in history. So,
Wow.
wow, that's an interesting statistic for everybody there. Very interesting. On that note, Osvaldo, I do want to thank you for joining tonight. I want to thank everybody in the chat and everybody watching us on replay. Thank you guys. Let us know in the comments what you think. And we'll try and set it up, maybe do a preview before the match against Brazil. We'll see if we're able to do that. All right. With that said, take care, everybody. Thank you. And guys, it's just one loss. Next match against Brazil on Tuesday.